So we are back with our final project group. This is the team Yesteryear with a Salvador Dali-inspired melting clock logo. And Sam will kick off now.
Hi everyone. We're Josh, Kelly, Mo, Matt and myself, Sam, and we've made an augmented reality mobile app for Android called YesteryeAR. So what if you could point your phone at the world around you and see back in time? That's basically the idea that sparked the development of this app. We were all really excited about the concept of a kind of chronological X-ray vision that would allow you to see through your camera worlds, places, people, eras gone by, facilitated by augmented reality to bring the past to life. Quite a key inspiration for this project was the work of a photographer called Seth Tarras, who did a project for the History Channel in 2010 called Know Where You Stand, that superimposed famous old photographs over their present-day locations. So I'll give you a little breakdown of the app and how it works and what it does. So on loading the app, by tapping I've got too many apps, the icon, we arrive at a landing page, standard sign-up, login forms. We're going to log in as Jodie Whittaker, the current Doctor Who. Other time travelers are available. And we're taken to a home screen, which renders a series of nearby yesteryear locations based on your proximity to them. And as well as there's also the ability to access an account page to see your profile and various information. Tapping the top right navigate button takes you to a map view, which shows the user's current GPS location, as well as all the yesteryear locations in their immediate vicinity. You can tap on one of those locations, and that'll make a little info pop-up appear, showing the location and the time. And tapping on that takes you to an information screen, which tells you a bit more about what you'll see at that location, as well as a list of visitors, so other users who've chosen to tag themselves as having visited there. We're not able to do that because we've not visited the location yet, so that top right-hand icon is disabled. If we tap on one of the locations from the home screen, we're taken to a map view, and we can actually call up Google Maps or Uber if we're keen to get there in a hurry. That will show the location on Google Maps and give us the opportunity to get directions straight there if we feel we need assistance with that. So all we have to do is get ourselves to the location, and tapping on the camera button, we open up the camera view. Here we are at Salford Lads Club, for any Smiths fans. We find ourselves to the real world marker, and the camera does some image detection and renders the Smiths in 1986. So here's a little view back in time. The less said about Morrissey these days, the better. But so yeah, we're able to now see an image which is rendered with preset 3D spatial coordinates, which are relative to the marker and of course to the user's device. You're able to do a bit of manipulation of this image as well, so you can really get the sense of sort of seeing the past and the present combined. Did you know that Piccadilly Gardens once was host to a Nazi V2 rocket? Because it was. Here it is in 1952 next to the, what's his name? I've forgotten his name, but he's a Scottish engineer, this statue. And we can take a look at that from all different kinds of angles. So yeah, there's a few more examples in upcoming video clips, but I'll pass you over now to Mo, who's going to talk you through our tech stack.
Cheers, mate. So for our technology stack, we've used Cloud Firestore for the backend. We just needed something that was simple, quick. It's a pretty front-end heavy project, so we wanted something that didn't really take too much time up. Yeah, so we didn't really have to build any REST APIs, as Firebase really takes care of that. And to add to that, the syntax is fairly straightforward and simple, as yeah, you can really pick your own software development kit. And yeah, we chose JavaScript because that's what we've learned and what we know. And for the front end, initially it took a lot of time to really research what we wanted to pick and what we wanted to use. So we narrowed it down to two options. One of them would be React Native with Viro React, which would handle our AR aspect of the app. Or the other option would have been React Native in the Expo client, and that would also, and then also 3.js to handle the AR aspect and the 2D image rendering. So between the two, Expo is quite handy compared to React Native for when it comes to setting up projects. It doesn't take as long as React Native Bear really to just set up a project and go ahead and code. However, we found that for Expo, the AR and the image recognition was a bit iffy, so there was only really one option to kind of get to our minimum viable product, which was React Native with Viro React. Eventually, we did find a way to combine both. We set up a Expo client within React Native. So we basically built every single component that was an AR or map based within Expo. And we then ejected that into the React Native app that handled the AR and the maps. And I will pass you on to Matt to talk a bit more about the front end.
Cheers, Mo. Keep this brief. Front end, we used Azure for the wireframe. Actually, a very nice little tool. It maps out everything like a snazzy way. You can export all the HTML. We didn't use that feature, but it's nice to have. In terms of actual development with React Native, there's loads of plugins and platforms to streamline the service, but couldn't use any of them because of Viro's Bootstrap. So React Native without any plugins is like very tricky. The maps took 7 days to fix. It made things interesting though. It was pretty fun to use and only took a couple of days once everything was set up, which is ideal because we started a couple of days ago. So, yep. And now over to Kelly.
Hi, I'm Kelly, and I'm going to talk to you about the AR. We chose Viro React because it's 100% open source, cross-platform, and does marker-based AR really well. We also did consider using Unity, but we thought it would be a bit much to do learning a new language in 2 weeks as well as all the other challenges. We also looked at location-based AR, but once we've done a bit of investigation, it's relatively new, and also you'd need some really good hardware to get any sort of accuracy. So we decided to go with the marker-based. So how it works under the hood. The image is rendered relative to the position of the marker that you see on the floor. And we can also access the properties of the image. So we can look at the position, we can look at the rotation, and we can look at the size. Initially, when we did our first test, when we went out into the field, we used some gesture-based methods. So we'd use like on drag to move the image around, or we'd use on pinch to expand or make the image smaller. However, we found it was a bit erratic, and sometimes when you tapped the image, it sort of flew off into the distance, which is probably not ideal. So as you can see, we put some sliders in, and that allowed us to control it a bit better. And also, it allowed us to add a bit more functionality, such as the opacity, which I think really added something to the app. So now I'm going to hand you over to Josh, who is going to speak to you about some of the problems and also the solutions to those problems.
Thank you, Kelly. Awesome. So problem solved and challenges overcome. So as you can imagine, trying to bring 3 technologies together, brand new to us, was incredibly difficult. From the get-go, choosing a tech stack that would work. We spent a lot of time researching each tech stack was possible with our minimal viable product, and making a decision became harder and harder as there's so much out there and so many different ways to use this technology. Each technology had its own positives, had its own negatives, but we eventually decided on the tech stack we've shown you. The second problem we faced was Android versus iOS. Most of us had Android phones, so we decided that the best way to go forward was to use Android. However, we soon realized that building apps in Android is like 40% more difficult than in iOS and takes that much longer. And the third and final problem was, as some libraries are not continuously updated, we got into this thing called Dependency Health. And because Viro React relies on products that are outdated, and I can only use React Native, I think version 59.7 or something. You could imagine that debugging and combining all these certain dependencies together was an absolute nightmare. How we solve these problems? First of all, communication, communication, communication. You could imagine that working in a team of 5, brand new technology, and it is crucial to have good forms of communication. We use stand-ups every morning, we did Kanban boards, we used Trello boards. All of these led to a flow that did work, and were able to get a minimal viable product, and it is a work in progress, but it works and it's beautiful. And very finally, Dependency Health, not much to expect except for determination, hard work, and a lot of stubbornness to get something to work. We also were able to email the development team of Viro Media with issues about outdated gist to try and understand where our code was actually going wrong on the dependency side. And we've realized this morning that they've actually updated what we pointed out was wrong. And so no one else that ever creates something with this will ever have that problem that we spent 3 days on. It's been an absolute privilege, this app. I've really enjoyed working with this team. We've had a lot of fun, a lot of difficulties, but thank you very much, guys. Any questions?